Ever wondered how you'd feed a vast army when supply lines are broken, funds are dwindling, and every mile takes you further from home? Sounds impossible, right? Not for Napoleon. Dive with me into the gripping tale of how necessity birthed a military revolution. Picture France, in the throes of the Revolutionary Wars, where passionate cries for liberty clashed with the cold, hard reality of warfare. The revolutionary ideals were great, but they didn't fill empty bellies. The French, faced with mounting odds and stretched thin, confronted a mammoth challenge. How do you feed an ever-growing, ever-marching army? Enter Napoleon, a military maestro, who turned these logistical nightmares into strategic symphonies. Living off the land wasn't just a desperate attempt to feed his troops, it was a tactical masterstroke. What began as a solution to a pressing problem, born out of sheer necessity during the Revolutionary Wars, evolved into one of Napoleon's signature strategies. Imagine the Grande Armée, moving swiftly across the vast landscapes of Europe. No cumbersome supply wagons, no tedious waiting for provisions, just the land and its bounty. Orchards, fields, vineyards, each became a refreshment point. This strategy, while vital for survival, also bestowed Napoleon's forces with unprecedented speed and agility. During the Napoleonic era, the logistical approach of the various European armies starkly contrasted with that of the French. Traditional European military logistics largely depended on established, structured supply lines and fixed depots. Because of this, these armies would often move slowly, their pace dictated by the cumbersome supply wagons, and the need to safeguard their lines of communication. They would meticulously plan campaigns around their supply routes, ensuring that provisions and reinforcements could steadily reach the front. The French, particularly under Napoleon, transformed logistical necessity into a strategic advantage. By foraging and sourcing sustenance directly from the conquered or traversed territories, they achieved unparalleled mobility and speed, allowing them to surprise and outmaneuver their more traditionally bound adversaries. This innovative approach to logistics enabled the French to mount rapid campaigns. But it wasn't merely a matter of sustenance on the move. This live-off-the-land tactic, sharpened to precision during the Revolutionary Wars, morphed into a potent psychological tool in Napoleon's arsenal. Each foray, each unpredictable move, sowed seeds of doubt in the minds of his adversaries. The European commanders found themselves not just battling Napoleon's forces, but also grappling with the unpredictable ghost of his next move. This unpredictability became an enigma, rendering Napoleon's armies almost phantom-like, here one moment, gone the next, striking where least expected. This elusiveness wasn't just about physical movement, it was a game of shadows and illusions, casting a looming uncertainty over enemy strategies. And in the theater of war, where morale and anticipation dictate outcomes as much as sheer force, this unpredictability was a masterstroke. By turning logistical constraints into this shifty advantage, Napoleon didn't just shift supplies, he shifted paradigms, reshaping the very psyche of warfare. In the lush, fertile expanses of Europe, with its centuries-old tradition of farming and its vast, rolling fields, Napoleon's live-off-the-land strategy thrived. These agriculturally rich terrains, be they the verdant vineyards of Italy or the golden wheat fields of Austria, offered a buffet for the taking. The lands, cultivated with love and labor by generations, inadvertently played host to Napoleon's forces, feeding them, rejuvenating them, and propelling them further. But not all terrains were so generous. As the Grande Armée ventured into regions less agriculturally endowed, the strategy that had once been their strength began to waver. In the more arid and less fertile regions, where resources were sparse, and the land reluctant, the French found that living off the land wasn't quite the same. Their pace slowed, their vigor waned, and the once celebrated speed became a trudge of survival. The strategy's vulnerability became apparent. Yet, the most formidable challenge came not from nature, but from man. Recognizing Napoleon's dependence on the very earth they tread, cunning adversaries wielded this knowledge like a weapon, turning his strength into a potential pitfall. In 1812, the Russians, in their vast, expansive homeland, orchestrated one of the most iconic uses of the scorched earth policy. As the Grand Armée marched deeper into Russia, towns were evacuated, and provisions set ablaze. By the time Napoleon reached Moscow, the city itself had been put to the torch, leaving behind a hollow prize devoid of the much-needed sustenance for his troops. The biting cold of the Russian winter coupled with dwindling supplies created a catastrophe for the retreating French forces. Similarly, in the rugged terrains of Spain, guerrilla fighters, fiercely protective of their homeland, coupled their hit-and-run tactics with scorched earth measures. Fields were set aflame, and food storage was destroyed, creating a landscape of hunger and uncertainty for the invaders. As the French tried to establish control, they found themselves grappling not just with an enemy army, but with a land and people united in resistance. These tactics were more than just about denying resources, they were psychological plays. The image of a burning Moscow or a Spanish village defiantly reducing its own grains to ash was a powerful message, a testament to their resolve and a challenge to Napoleon's ambitions. Confronted with such unwavering defiance, the very strategy that had once propelled the French to unparalleled successes, now left them vulnerable, forcing them to grapple with not just the scarcity of resources, but the indomitable spirit of those determined to resist. Yet, this revolutionary approach to warfare, while a beacon of genius on the battlefield, cast long and often troubling shadows on the very lands that sustained Napoleon's forces. For the local populations of the conquered or merely traversed territories, the French armies live off the land strategy was akin to a relentless storm, sweeping through their villages, fields, and granaries. As Napoleon's troops feasted on the bounty, many locals found their homes stripped of provisions, their fields bare, and their futures uncertain. The very earth that had sustained families for generations, was now plundered to fuel an insatiable war machine. In the eyes of these civilians, the dazzling speed and unpredictability of Napoleon's campaigns became a double-edged sword. It wasn't just crops and cattle that were taken, often, it was their sense of security, their faith in the morrow. In the tapestry of Napoleonic warfare, woven with threads of military brilliance, there were also darker strands representing the profound human costs borne by those caught in the path of this relentless march. In the grand tapestry of European warfare, Napoleon's live-off-the-land strategy shines as a testament to both military genius and adaptability. Yet, like all strategies, it was not without its flaws. It thrived in the bounteous lands of Europe but faltered in the face of determined resistance and scorched earth tactics. The ebb and flow of his campaigns, dictated as much by the land and its people as by military might, underscore the delicate balance of strategy, environment, and human spirit. As we reflect on these remarkable chapters of history, we are reminded that victories are not just won by swords and cannons, but often by the resolve of people and the depth of their sacrifices. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more captivating stories from history's vaults. Until next time, keep the wheels of time turning.